Hello and welcome to the Killer Frogs Hour live from Brewster's. How's everybody doing out there tonight? Yay. And we welcome everyone on live stream that are viewing with us live tonight. We're here with the original Killer Frog, Wes Phelan, one that started this mess back in '97. And it is a mess, but we have fun.
We have fun with it.
Absolutely. Then we got the wizard of the Killer Frogs, Sean Fouché, here tonight. And we got a special guest with us tonight, Sean Stilley, Liberty Bowl champ quarterback, in here tonight. And I'll be your host tonight. I'm Scott Nix. Guys, well, I tell you, we got a lot to talk about tonight, but we're going to deal with some sad news right off the point as we let our music come down. Is that Aunt Margaret up there? Holy smoke. That's an icon and dream of my youth. Kelly's not in here, is she? Okay, anyway.
She was my dream. Wait, what are you talking about?
Redheads? Oh, that's right. We do have that redhead thing.
Oh,
Yeah, I know how that goes. That redhead's a big deal.
It's a family show.
It is a family show, but it's a sad day today in the TCU community. We lost a big one today, Wes.
we sure did. Number 23, Jim Swink.
Jim
And
Swink.
He was an All-American. He was the face of TCU football for many years.
For many years. I believe he played like in 55, 56 in that time. If you see Jim on your screens and up behind us up here at Brewster's, he was the Rust Rambler, wasn't he? He was from Rust, Texas.
And in that picture, who's chasing him down? Jim Brown.
That is Jim Brown from Syracuse University is who
Yep.
that is. Well, Jim Swink was the number 2 vote getter in 1956 for the Heisman Trophy.
He sure was.
He lost to Hopalong, wasn't it Cassidy? What was his Howard Cassidy.
Howard Hopalong Cassidy.
That's who it was, Howard Hopalong Cassidy. And he was there, that was Ohio State, and a lot of people thought Jim Swink should have won that award that year. But Jim is definitely a legend, and Jim, instead of going, he did one of the rare things that anybody, he was a second-round draft pick back then, but he decided not to play in the NFL and decided to go about his medical degree and be a doctor.
Yep. And that, you can play football, you can serve humanity. He chose the honorable way.
And
great.
he represented TCU well through all the years, and God bless him and his family and their time mourning him. But what a legacy he's left, and he'll never be forgotten here at TCU.
No, he won't.
Absolutely. Well, the exciting news today is, like I said, I introduced our guest here today. Sean Stilley comes in here. I mean, you talk about all the heroics and stuff that's going on here with TCU of late, but, Sean was one of those that kind of got us started off the bat, back then.
That's right. He stepped in and took us to the Liberty Bowl.
Took us to the Liberty Bowl. Sean, tell us a little bit. You're from, if I'm right, I think you from Dallas, Texas.
That's right, Dallas, Lake Highlands.
That's close to Garland.
Not Highland Park, Lake Highlands.
I know Lake Highlands. That's close to Garland, though. I'm a Garland High School boy.
I didn't know you were Garland.
Absolutely.
The
we
Garland
were right
Owls.
there.
We played
Garland
you guys.
Yeah, well, you may have played my grandson, but anyway. You played at Lake Highlands, and who all recruited you out of high school?
Coach Fran recruited me from New Mexico, and Patterson was obviously on his staff. Jared Anderson was there as a graduate assistant, and they recruited me to New Mexico. And I'd had offers and taken visits to Arizona State, almost had committed to Kansas, believe it or not. And all the Texas schools really wanted me as a tight end.
Was Mangino there at Kansas then?
Mangino was not there. In fact, it was
okay. You would have been able to eat. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure. I from a fellow fat boy, I understand how that works. So,
but most of the coaches, especially in Texas, wanted me as a tight end because we threw the ball at Lake Highlands maybe 4 times a game.
fine in your bio then. So anyway, you paid somebody off well.
Oh, for sure. They always inch you up,
Inch you
height,
up a little bit.
and inch you up in weight, and inch you up in speed.
That's
And
right.
I got 2 inches in speed.
Well, you used to could get away with that in recruiting. You can't do that.
You can't do it anymore. You got to be honest. They're all over it.
They're all over it. I would have been playing at I don't know, Austin College or something if they knew the truth.
I'll tell you what was neat. Coach Fran, he was the one guy that I could tell everyone else that I visited Vanderbilt. They said, we'll give you a shot at quarterback. Coach Fran actually called me, and when they found out they were moving to TCU, it was over Thanksgiving dinner, or I think it was Christmas dinner. And he said, Sean, I know you weren't interested in coming to New Mexico, but now we're coming to TCU. We're going to be in your back door. He said, and I want you to play quarterback. You're going to fit perfectly in our system.
What a disappointment that must have been not to get to go to New Mexico.
Yeah.
Woo! I tell you what, I mean, that's pretty rough. Somebody told they went out to Odessa Midland the other day.
They were doing good, though. It looked so nice. All the highlights I saw, the snow coming down.
Oh, well.
They just played it. I think they played Arizona in the what's the bowl out there in Arizona at the time? I can't remember.
Copper Bowl.
What was it?
Copper Bowl.
Copper
Okay.
Bowl, that's right. Copper Bowl.
They
Very
played
good.
out there. They lost, but they played out there, and they brought the whole highlight video down, and it looked all right.
Looked
Good
all
fan.
right.
Looked better than TCU at the time, and I hate to say that.
Well,
My wife gets so mad at me because she's here tonight. She's an ex-cheerleader, but she's been a fan her whole life. I mean, since she was a little girl. Her daddy, they grew up that way. I didn't. I became a TCU fan when I signed the paper at 18. So they've been through like you guys have. They've been through the bad, the good, the bad, the ugly.
well, you just brought up a big point of overachievement on your part. You brought up Dana, your wife.
Yes, sir.
You married a TCU cheerleader,
I did,
right?
the head cheerleader.
The head cheerleader, and but I've seen her. In fact, she's here tonight, and I'm telling you, you sure you wasn't a kicker?
Let me stop by
Because
saying.
you way outkicked your coverage.
Let me explain what happened. Okay. I was a starter for how many years? 1.5.
One of them.
Okay.
Well, don't tell me it was between you and Casey Printers who she was going to marry. Okay, is that where we're
She
going
made
with
the
this?
right choice.
Oh man, I don't want to say what I saw.
Okay,
right now.
all right, okay, all right.
Jeez. In the shower, we don't compare.
There we
But
This show, you could say that.
All right.
Sorry.
I figure we got beers on the show. We can say
Yeah,
that.
you're fine. Here we go.
We were friends for 3.5 years. She never dated me the day I put my hands under center. So that tells you what. I outkicked my coverage. I actually had to play to get into there.
She didn't date you till you put your hands under center.
That's
huh?
it.
So the center,
not her center.
That's
The
what
center.
I about to say. If the center didn't date you, you decided to date her. Then
The center.
You got turned right.
The Jamal Powell, 6'4",
yeah.
380 pounds.
I hope you
center.
washed your hands
I
before
tell you what, that sounds like a bad prison movie to me. I don't think I want to go there. So anyway, well, Sean, absolutely. I mean, and so you sat there early on. I know you got redshirted, went through a couple years being a backup at TCU, and you kind of had to feel maybe a little bit like Jeff Ballard did when he was going through what he went through with Ty Gunn. Like, am I ever going to get to play? You know that Casey Printers is a very talented guy, and he's got a lot of talent. He didn't, for all Casey's shortcoming, he did have talent, and so you looked at that, and so you knew that your only opportunity was, hey, he's either got to get hurt or he's got to leave for me to be able to play.
Right, and the first time that he did get hurt, we were playing Tulane and trying to keep up with Patrick Ramsey at the Superdome. And the first half went fine. There wasn't any nerves setting in, but then we were in a shootout. I mean, they were firing the ball, and they got up by 2 touchdowns. And Patterson came over at halftime. He said, "Guys, we got to score." So then I got into that first game experience, starting forcing the ball downfield, and all of a sudden you start turning the ball over and you're playing catch up even more, and then you get a taste of what it's like to be behind and that whole deal. So it was a rough first start, but then when I actually got we played Army the next week and had a lot of success there. The team really rallied around what the situation was.
If I remember right, you were weren't you the Conference USA Offensive Player of the week? I mean, you really took advantage of that situation in Army.
I did,
You're glad I remembered that.
Thank you, you saved me. But I did have a lot of help around me. There's guys like Quinn Ellis was at starting tight end sitting here to my right.
We do have Quinn Ellis in house tonight, don't we? He was a great ball player for us.
And that's what and that's what TCU I think now has gotten back to. It's guys that care, guys that love, not individuals, but actual team players. And that's what we had when we were here. We didn't compete. We weren't A-level recruits. We were sorry, Quint. We were B, C guys. I mean, let the truth be known. We weren't the top of the top. Now they're getting those guys that can.
But, you know, you bring up a good point. You know, Wes, he talks about, you know, you and I talk about the kind of guys that, you know, Franchione and Patterson recruited, and they were BC guys.
Right.
But they looked for guys that had winning attitudes, that were stay out of trouble guys, and guys that they could develop and mold and
Exactly.
win over into their system.
Wanted coachable players, people with good attitudes, and somebody you can develop, and they did a very good job of that.
Exactly, exactly. Well, Sean, we get to, what is it, 2002, and you get an opportunity. What happened that year? Everything laid out for you. You're a senior quarterback, and you get the nod. Is that right?
That was right. That's right. And it was kind of interesting how it played out. You know, I was in the room with Quint and a bunch of other guys that literally Eric Hyman walked into our meeting room, and Fran was leaving. You know, the next day we see him on screen with a crimson tie on with LaDainian at the Heisman ceremony. And, you know, next morning we walk into a meeting. Hyman walks in and says, "Guys, who do you want? You know, who do you want to be our coach?" And he raises Coach Patterson's hand. I mean, it was that awkward, and we all did the. I mean, it really was that moment, and everyone starts clapping. And it's like, you know, do you really have a choice at that matter? I mean, we didn't know
Sure.
any better, but we needed somebody. We needed a leader. So, going into that next year, that 2001 was kind of an awkward year, but then 2002, I think Patterson was really taking confidence in what his role was, and he's always been a genius defensively, but he's the way to see the growth of him as a coach and what he's developed into all aspects. I mean, on offense, we didn't hear much from him unless we were doing bad, but that 2002 year was great.
Started off rough with an overtime loss to Cincinnati, if that's right.
Terrible.
Yeah, I remember that game.
And we had the game won. We had it
won and gave it away to Cincinnati. But you guys got on a big roll. Didn't y'all win like 8 straight, something like that?
We did. We ended up having a lot of success, and then getting that nod at the Liberty Bowl, and really didn't have a whole lot of.
And that's not a huge bowl to us anymore. We know that. But putting ourselves back in that time, that was a huge bowl for us to go to.
Oh, big!
We go to Liberty Bowl, to Memphis, to get to play around on Beale Street.
Colorado
you know,
State.
down there. I hope y'all. Obviously, y'all didn't play around on Beale Street. Y'all played a good game.
We
y'all
played around a little bit.
Y'all didn't do the Max Nocky, did you? That.
What did Max do?
Sorry, Mike. You didn't know about.
I didn't know what he did.
You don't know about Riverboat Max?
No.
Max. Yeah, I don't know if Max is living. He'll kill me. But there was rumor Riverboat Max was on the boats the night before the game, all night, pretty much, when we got sucked by Virginia the next day. But,
no.
And he'll kind of acknowledge that. He's had fun.
He admits that?
Yeah, much time. You'll have to mess with you quarterbacks. You ought to know that story.
Did you ever go to where it was a Pat? Was it not Pat O'Brien? There's another. What was the name of that place, Quint? With the goats.
Well, there's no Pat O'Brien's in Shreveport, I don't believe. You're talking about.
No, I'm talking about it at Memphis, the game that we were at.
Oh, you're talking. With the goats. That's the hotel. What's the
Quint? What's the name of that place on
it's
Memphis? Beale Street.
What is it?
With the goats. Silky O'Sullivan's. You ever been to Silky?
No.
Yeah, we go there. We go there 5 nights before the bowl game, and Coach Summers is still our strength coach, right?
Right.
Big old Coach Summers. So
Right.
we go out there, and so this is 5 nights. This isn't the night before the game, and we're out there, and everyone's having a few beers and whatnot. And they said, "Well, you guys can if you can beat the goat, if you can drink that beer faster than the goat, the beer's on the house. So you buy the goat a beer." Goat takes that beer, and you go, boom, he slams it. And I mean, there isn't a bubble left. Nothing.
Wow.
So by the end of the night, our strength coach, Coach Summers, says, "I'll do it. I'll beat that goat." He goes back there, and all the goats are passed out. It's 1:30 in the morning. They're all asleep in their den.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
But it wasn't the night before. It was
They
5
must have
nights.
said, well, that's okay. 5
We
nights.
had fun,
But
too.
anyway, to go back to it, Liberty Bowl was great. We absolutely murdered Colorado State that night, and you had a fantastic game. I mean, that had to have been a thrill.
It was awesome. It was a great way to end it, especially on a rocky, just personal rocky career. You know, leaving that game and really now looking back on it to see. I think if Patterson had left 5 years later, none of this would mean is nearly as much to me or my friends or my teammates and fans all around. I mean, now the fact that we've watched this thing develop.
Well, you're part of the foundation.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're part of the foundation.
And that ties. I mean, that hits home so much daily to me. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And since then, what are you doing now? I know that you've done a little radio work before for
have.
TCU. I
did.
know you've done that. But what's your main job now? What do you do?
I'm a distributor for a company called Fort Line Waterworks. We're a distributor for all underground utility equipment, PVC pipe, ductile, concrete, fire hydrants, any infrastructure that's going on in the city or new subdivisions. We supply all the materials to contractors, builders, developers.
And I know you do well at it. You got to support those two little ones. I mean, you got Chase and Logan at home. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I've got a baby boy that's 4 and a little girl that's 2.5.
Well, that's great. And I know, is he helping you out okay there, Dana? He's it? Okay. All right, then. I just want to make sure he's taken care of like I did Kelly. She's not listening right now, so I can get away with that. Okay, guys. Well, that pretty much brings us up to date on the Sean Stilley story. And now he's just another Horned Frog Letterman fan enjoying. And that brings me to this. Sean, where were you last night when you heard the news?
I was teaching.
You were teaching?
I was teaching. And
I forgot.
Well,
you have other jobs, don't you? I forgot about that.
Yeah, I do other things.
You don't just do this show and KillerFrogs?
No.
Okay.
As much as Steel Frog would like for everyone to believe, I don't just follow you around. No, I was teaching. I was in the middle of a lecture, and my phone started going off because I was getting all the alerts from the KillerFrog Twitter account. And some of my students are like, what in the world is going on with your phone? Because it's dancing over there on my desk. And so I wrapped up the lecture, went over there, sat down, and saw the news. Right. And stopped teaching after that.
It was a shocker. Wes, how about you?
I was at the gym on the elliptical trainer watching ESPN.
Oh, Mr.
See, now if you
Image
said
of
that, I
Fitness
wouldn't believe it.
That's right. Why not?
And I almost fell off the darn thing. I couldn't
Why
believe
not?
it. Couldn't believe it.
If I'm not the picture of health, I don't know what is.
Well, you are, and I'm just trying to.
Okay, all right.
Trying to live up to your
You're a
standard.
pitcher.
Okay, all right. Okay. So you nearly fell off the elliptical, huh?
I could not believe it. I lost my rhythm there. I had to stop for a second.
And it wasn't because any of the co-eds were walking across. You know your granddad.
What co-eds?
Okay, that's what I was. A good answer, Wes. Claire must be listening tonight.
Love
Sean,
you,
how about you? Where were you last night?
Believe it or not, we were getting our Christmas tree and at a barbecue joint right there off of Camp Bowie. And anyway, we were sitting there eating, and my wife.
Riskies? No, not Riskies.
No, it wasn't Riskies. It's a pumpkin patch right there off of 183 and 30. It's on the. It's like a. Well, anyway, if I stumped you guys, and I really stumped you guys are forward guys.
You did stump.
Right across from Ridgemar Mall.
Oh, okay. Is that Woody's? I think Woody's
I've never
there
been
at
to that
183. It is Woody's.
The barbecue ranch is out that area.
I think the name of Woody's.
So anyway, we were sitting back there, and my wife looked up the TV, and she goes, and I didn't expect this at all. I really thought possibly we'd drive. I just didn't know how people were going to take it. This is all new for all of us. And she looked back, and she goes, number 3. And I thought maybe it was a prelim deal, and one guy jumped on board with TCU. And, man, I turned around and saw it, and they popped Florida State behind it. And, man, phones just start buzzing like crazy.
Started buzzing. Well, that's how it happened.
We didn't even get to talk about it. We just start going straight to the phone.
I came back to my car after going to the gym, and I looked at my phone, and it was just filled with Twitter messages, and that thing was just lit up.
Well, that's how I was. I was in a recliner sitting there watching. I was counting. And, of course, I like to sit there and say it before because I like to prove to my wife I'm a know-it-all and that I know exactly how it's going to be. And I said, here comes Florida TCU, and I about popped out of that chair. Okay, now.
Did he pop out of that chair?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Kelly sees me how I get out of that. Yeah, it's a sometimes it's a struggle getting out of that recliner. Anyway, but anyway, it was quite a shock, and you know, I thought they might do it, but I didn't think they'd do it this week, and you know, I think that's going to be something that we can talk about on the other side of the break now. So if we're about ready for that, we ready to head over to the break? Okay, we're going to break off here for about a minute, and we'll be right back with you for our second segment, and we're going to be talking about the college football playoff system and what they thought about the Frogs last night.
Hey, Killer Frogs, I'm here at Brewster's today. And as you know, you get 30% off on your food with the coupon you get off of Killer Frogs. What you didn't know is that every Wednesday, they've got Wild Wing Wednesday. 60 cents per wing, a 6-wing minimum. You got 4 different flavors to choose from: buffalo, barbecue bourbon, Thai chili, and the famous Caribbean jerk. Speaking of Caribbean jerks, I'm going to have one myself right now. Go frog.
All right, welcome back to our second segment. Got a little Fleetwood Mac going there.
Yeah, we do.
I'm going to see him next weekend.
Where are they playing?
Hey, there you
They're
go.
playing at American Airlines, not this weekend, but next weekend, the 14th. And going to see Stevie Nicks. What is she, 86 years old now?
Yeah, I think so.
About 86 years old. I figured I'd want to see her. We're going to race to see who dies first, but I think I might beat her. I don't know. She's still going pretty strong. But there's all kinds of concerts tonight. We got the
Justin
Whitties.
Timberlake.
Well, we got the Whitties and the Finnegans. And I asked, where's Brandon tonight? Where is he?
Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake. And then one of Kelly's friends, my wife's friend, where's she? Justin Timberlake. Isn't that kind of like Cougar stuff going on there? Kelly?
I don't want to get into it.
Are they? You think they're out there scouting for young guys or what?
I think maybe they just really like his musicality.
Is that?
I don't know what level he's at now. There's no teenage girls anymore now. Is he going for the older girls?
Maybe.
Well,
I don't know what his following is. Yeah.
They got to flip
And
side.
what's
Yeah, they got to change. They got to adapt.
And what's the deal with the music tonight? I hadn't been able to follow what your trend is here tonight, Sean.
Well, what I've actually done. This one's actually from 1977. But what I've done is I've played. This is all music that peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Top 100.
Now, why would you pick number 3?
It's my favorite number.
That's your favorite number?
It's a good number.
It is my
It's a
favorite
good number this week.
It is.
I can tell you it's a real good. Smells like roses. That's what it smells like to me
Amen.
right now.
Amen.
I like roses.
I'll tell you what.
Roses and roasted duck.
Roasted duck right now. But there's a lot of things that happen. And for you live stream viewers, I understand we had a little glitch starting out, so you missed our little tribute to Jim Swink. Just want to say we made mention of Jim and the great things that Jim Swink meant to TCU and his legacy, the fabulous All-American we had here, and even a greater person, and what he did in the medical community here in the Fort Worth area. So many people, and we lost a big one today.
Yes,
absolutely, we lost a big one today. So anyway, guys, we're going to get going here on this second part now, and we're just now talking about the college playoff system. What did you? I mean, number 3. I mean, it seems like we're not very well liked by the national pundits, though.
Doesn't seem that way, does it?
I'll tell you what. When I saw that number 3 and Baylor at number 6, I thought it was a clear statement of what the voters are trying to say, is that TCU had a tougher schedule. When you look at it, and it really makes sense now that you look back on it, Baylor's only loss is to who? West Virginia?
Right.
Yep.
West Virginia.
Hey, where's West
14
Virginia
points.
ranked right now?
7 and 5.
Where are they ranked?
Oh, they're not.
They're
not.
They're
No,
not.
Exactly.
They're
They're
way
close.
off the map.
TCU's loss is to a number 6 team in Baylor
Right.
that they should have won.
Which at the time was number 4.
Correct.
Right.
And they should have won that game. They had the game won until the last, 4 minutes?
Well, and not
3
only
minutes?
that, hey, it was our fault. It was the team's fault that they let the 21 points, and we've gone over this and hashed it. But the pundits don't get it, except Joey Galloway. Joey Galloway brought it up again. The 2 interference calls, you cannot negate that whole setup on 4th down. You either make the first down or you get interference. That whole call. And Sean, as a quarterback, you know that with a full-on blitz coming on there, you're trying to get one-on-one coverage out there. You're a basketball player who's Josh Dotson.
Yep.
You know, that guy's a basketball player playing receiver out
Correct.
there the way he jumps.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes up. That is the play. People don't like that play, but they have to understand that's what they're giving you.
That's all you have.
That's all
There's
you have.
nothing else you have.
And so what you're depending on is either one, Dotson's going to go up and catch the ball, or two, you're going to get the interference call.
Correct.
And it was clear interference.
All over him.
All over him, and you didn't get the call. So we made
Well, you
the
got
right
the call going the other way.
Well,
But look whose house you're in.
Yeah, and then
Right.
you could turn around. Well, but here's the deal. We get the call. There is no argument. We go down. We've got one of the best kickers in the nation. In all likelihood, Obercromb's going to hit that. Game over.
Right.
That's it. We just we probably don't even have to get a first down. You know?
But you look on the next possession by Baylor. It's a 3rd and 10 at midfield.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you get a phantom pass interference.
Phantom
call going
pass
the other way.
interference.
Kept the drive alive because I don't think Bryles would have gone on a 4th and 10 at midfield.
And I know this is our sour grapes for us to talk about that, but it is the reality of the situation.
Exactly.
And I think who really understands this, more so than any pundits out there that really gets it, is the College Football Playoff Committee.
Right.
Yeah.
Or we would not be in the position we are if they did not understand that. So short of that, of course, the other pundits want to say, well, you know, they almost got beat by West Virginia. They almost got beat by Kansas. You know, I mean, everybody's got a couple of those in their resume.
Yeah, everybody does.
Everybody.
But I think the one thing that maybe turned it against Baylor a little bit was hiring that PR committee.
Yes.
PR
Oh,
firm.
definitely. That PR firm backfired.
Absolutely.
When did they do that? I heard that today. I heard that today for the first
about
time.
a week ago.
Yeah. They came out and they said a week ago we hired the PR firm, but it was only to set up interviews.
Wow.
And then next thing you know, they're blanketing the media with talking
The
points.
committee said all along it's going to be based on your body of work and not what a PR firm says. And for them to force that on them, I think it.
So let me ask y'all this: in naming a Big 12 conference champion, am I hearing this right now that they may call it co because they don't the they is in the Big 12 don't want to decide who the committee?
No, it's in the rules that way.
Yeah, it's actually the bylaws.
It's in the bylaws.
It will be a coach.
So TCU it will be a coach.
Yeah, no matter what,
if they both win.
As long as we win Saturday,
I didn't know that.
We are a co-champion
Okay.
with Baylor or
Kansas State.
K-State.
Wow. Okay.
The only people that could win it outright would be if we lost and
Baylor loses and
beat
we
Kansas
win.
State.
I tell you what, here I got it up here on the screen. How about that? So just to kind of give everybody an opportunity to see exactly what the tiebreaker procedures are here in the Big 12. Here you go for all you people out here in the media who keep misrepresenting this. Here it is. Essentially, the following procedure. This is voted on by all the ADs. That means you, McCaw, down there in freaking Waco. You voted on this too.
And Rod Gilmore.
And
are you listening?
Rod Gilmore needs to read this. Emphasis on read. The following procedure will be determined the Big 12 Conference representative to the Sugar Bowl or alternative college football playoff game when the Sugar Bowl is a semifinal. Notice that has nothing to do with the college football playoffs. It's just talking about how
on a regular
this is
year.
a tiebreaker
Right.
for bowl placement outside of the
playoff system.
Right. And you can read. It's online. All you have to do is type in Google Big 12 tiebreaker. It's right there. It's easy to see.
Why do you think that we're hearing these things? And maybe not up until after the Longhorn TCU beat the Longhorn, but how about before? Why are those guys saying that?
I think
crazy.
a lot of it, controversy drives money and media.
Well,
People are
ESPN
watching
is
these
entertainment.
shows. I mean, this has become big time viewership. There's more excitement. Of course, we see it more because we're involved. But the way the pundits are playing it, both on the national network, this is big time money they're talking about.
Absolutely, it
And
is.
so if they don't, the only thing I see is that some of them are making a joke out of themselves. Lou Holtz has made a joke out of himself. First of all, Lou, if you.
I got that from my father-in-law today.
Can they see that on live stream?
Yeah, they got it.
I got that on live stream.
Is that
Y'all see
Baylor
it?
Tears?
Yeah, I saw that today. We've got Keith Robinson here, and he puts out. Keith does a lot of our social media on Facebook. We appreciate Keith. Keith's a great guy. Keith works for CBS. He's been a photographer. You've been with them now how many years? 30 years with CBS. Congratulations, Keith. He marked his 30th year. A lot of the TCU photos you see around the stadium, a lot of them you see anywhere, come from Keith Robinson. He really is one of the finest photographers in this whole area. He may be the best sports photographer in the area. So we're tickled to have Keith with us tonight. Thanks for coming tonight, Keith. and the part I bring it up because Keith puts all kinds of things like that on our website all the time. That's awful funny and does a great job at doing it. But you know, it really does come down to money. But it's like I said, these guys are making themselves look silly. And I think you saw Herb Street take a turn last night because if he doesn't jump on board, his reputation is at stake after a while.
Sure.
If they continue to talk like Danny Cannell and Rod Gilmore,
Jason Sehorn,
Rod
Rod Gilmore,
they're not believable. And that's what's happened to Lou Holtz. We were talking about Holtz again. You know, Holtz went on that Notre Dame deal all the first time of the playoff. Notre Dame, I mean, how embarrassing is that now? And now he's done the same thing. He's replaced Notre Dame with Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I just don't get that. I don't get it at all.
Well, I think it's just a failure of switching the mentality. Because all these guys, for a very long time, all they wanted to push were so-called blue chip programs, of which TCU honestly was not one of. And now that TCU is actually winning, and Baylor, for goodness sakes, is actually winning, they just can't wrap their brains around the fact that TCU actually has a better strength of schedule and a better resume than someone like Ohio State.
You know, they can wrap their brains around whatever they want. What I love about this and what I love about TCU in this moment is, number one, their leader, Trevon Boykin. No one believed in that guy a year ago. Let's face it.
Amen.
A lot of people turned their back on him.
Absolutely.
My wife was one of his biggest supporters, and I was too. I believe in heart, and I believe in a competitor. And whether he was going to be a quarterback, a receiver, a DB, the guy loves to play the game. He has a huge heart.
True talent.
And for him to be blessed enough to have a coach come in and work with him and really utilize his talent, now you've got a guy leading a team that they're always the underdog. We don't want them to be the top dog that everybody's gunning for. We want to be in the position that we're in right now, where Trevon Boykin beats Texas 48-10 and walks across the field like it's a preseason game.
No big deal.
I'm going to shake your hand, I'm going to walk off, and I'm going to kick your butt next time I see you. Thank you. Let's move on.
Sean, do you think some of the perception might be that the nation still looks at us as that Mountain West Conference team?
I don't know if they're doing that or not.
Yeah,
maybe. I think people haven't accepted not seeing Ohio State or the Floridas or the A&M.
I mean, let's talk. Let's be honest about this, Sean.
It's almost hard for us to look at.
Sean, when you were playing, there were a lot of people that still didn't know who TCU was.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
We still have the old school purple on the deal.
Especially the younger generation had no idea. I mean, if you were 65 plus, you knew who TCU because they were a power in the 30s, 40s, 50s. You know, and then but there were lean years till 1990. Well, till the Sun Bowl.
Till the Sun Bowl. I was going to say to the Sun Bowl. Before that game, Coach Franchione was still on the stands, having to get people to stand up and start to believe in a rebuilding. And then that Sun Bowl, that was hey, we can compete, but they're no longer the team that now has to surprise people. Take, for instance, the Rose Bowl. I mean, that team was good, but are they as good as the team now to compete nationally? I believe now this team can beat anybody. The Rose Bowl, I mean, they may or may not, but I mean, we're not. Well, TCU's not in a position to sneak up. They don't have to sneak up on somebody. They're going to get their best shot, and they're good enough to take it.
Yep, I agree.
Well, here's the deal, Wes. This team, we've had some what we call team leadership character issues. Now, Gary didn't like me asking about that in the media session this summer, but I think it was obvious to everybody we've had leadership and chemistry issues the last few years.
He didn't like it. He didn't like being reminded about it, even though he's the one that mentioned it the most.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Hey, you mentioned it yesterday at the press conference.
When did you tell him that?
Oh, it was at the preseason media, TCU Media Day. Well, pretty much what it was I had asked Gary, I said, what's it mean to have somebody like Sam Carter back his senior year? Because Sam, I mean, if you know Sam Carter, Sam is one of the greatest kids you'll ever meet. What a great leader, what a worker, how personal. I just saw him meet all these high school kids and parents at a training session for TCU, and he went over and greeted every one of them. Super nice. There was a line to register, and he made all the men go to the back and put all the women up front.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I'm like, you can't teach that at 22 years old, It's something, somebody taught it to him, right? His mom did or his dad, and so that's the kind of character I was talking about. So back to the question, I said, what does it mean to have somebody here for your senior year like Sam Carter with some of the leadership issues you've had in the last. And Gary said, well, Sam Carter's been here for 3 years. You know,
What leadership issue?
Yeah, what is leadership issue? You know, and I thought I'd phrase really what I thought I did. And I told Gary this in an email. I said, I threw you, I thought, easy softball up there for you to knock out of the park. Instead, you knocked it in my teeth. So anyway, and that's just how it is. You know, we all know Gary's not perfect, but we don't want anybody else running this ship.
No way.
And Gary does a great job. And like you mentioned, when you guys raised your hand for Gary Patterson back there, that started because I don't think anybody ever saw it.
No.
We talked about it. Nope. I've talked to people that played for Gary years ago and said, he is the last guy I could have ever seen being a head coach of a college program. And now he's one of the last guys you can see not being how far he's gone. He's one of the,
everybody wants him.
He's one of the highest. And again, something we talk about Sean on here, and we talked on this show before. I thank goodness that last year that we went 4-8, or I think he would be sitting down at the University of Texas.
Yep, I do
I think it'd been the only place he might have left us for. And I think we're done now. What would beat Texas here? Last 2 out of 3? Things come easier for Texas. You get those five-star spoiled athletes like Sean, you know. but anyway.
Hey, Wes, I think it was neat. And why I asked when you talked to Patterson about that is my wife and I ran into him before the season, and it was actually during recruiting. It was the end of last season. I mean, he was down. He was beat up. He was with Coach Schlossnagel at dinner, and we kind of met up at the bar, and I sat and talked with him. And he said, you know, Sean, I'm going after these 5-star spoiled baby recruits because I can, but they're not team players. Yeah. They get up here and they're individuals, and they got tattoos that say I am it. Yeah. And you know what? He told me, he said, I'm going to get back. He said, I'm going to get back to blue-collar guys that want to work for me. And Jason Phillips, guys like that are great athletes, great heart, great competitors, and great leaders. And I didn't think he was going to do it in a year. And all of a sudden, when you look at this team this year, there's no individuals.
It's full of Gary Patterson
type
players.
It's unbelievable, and they've got the talent now. And so if you want to come to TCU, and all recruits, if you're listening, if you want that myself and me, and I can do it all, go out there by yourself and go down south to Texas or Baylor. But don't come to TCU.
No.
Oh, I love it. Man. You tell him, Mr. Stilley.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah, we don't want those type. We don't.
Get him on the recruiting
We want
trail.
team player. Well, and you brought it full circle for me here, Sean, because that was my point. These kids are different this year. I will tell you right now, Gary Patterson, Doug Meacham, we knew improvement was coming. We didn't know it was this kind of improvement.
No way.
They didn't know it was this kind of improvement.
No.
And the reason this improvement is, it comes to the kids. They have a brotherhood going.
Big time.
And they, you know, guys, I said it last week, there was no way I saw us killing Texas like that.
No.
No, you know. And
Well, how many of the pundits picked Texas to win?
A bunch of them.
Well,
Yeah,
I would say over
half.
3/4 of them. I'd
That
say
was the
over
best
3/4.
part.
Yeah,
that was.
yeah.
And then, well, I think it's got a lot to why we're set number 3 this week. Texas carries a lot of weight, even though they're 6-6 Texas. It's still Texas.
It's Texas.
And it's like they were saying, and they said on the program, most of these kids at TCU were never offered or went on a recruiting trip to Texas. And they're out there spanking those guys' butts.
And it's not one guy. It's not one individual guy, running back or receiver. It's everybody.
It's the whole team.
Everybody got involved. People you hadn't even heard of are scoring touchdowns, and it's great.
Well, and speaking of Texas, I mean, what a beatdown for those guys down there. I mean,
Yeah, well, we had years of that.
Yeah, well, I'm
Have
telling
fun
you.
with it.
I can hear the sympathy in
Sorry,
your voice.
I'm sorry.
But y'all, we had seen how Charlie Strong, and I happen to be a Charlie Strong. I hate Texas. I hate everything about Texas. There's a lot I like about Charlie Strong right now, okay? I haven't liked anything about Texas, and I root for anybody against Texas. It doesn't matter who it is. But that's the way it's always going to be with me, I'm afraid. But, you know, they made a big deal about, hey, got these kids turned, and I believe it was their Super Bowl for them last week. They were ready. They were charged up. I'm going to tell you, it wasn't a full house in there, but it nearly was. But that was a loud place. You know, Trevon worked through, the offense worked through. It wasn't their best performance, but that defense annihilated Texas.
That's tough, man. When you have that front seven like that, you have that front seven that tough with safeties and corners backing off your receivers, but jumping routes, I mean, not a whole lot you can do.
I'll tell you the funnest one was when we caught when we were running a run blitz at one time and caught Jonathan Gray back there about 8 yards behind.
gosh, that
I
was
mean,
great.
met him when he had the ball and just drilled him.
I don't know about you guys. I was worried about their running game. I thought they were going to control the game and not let us have possessions and go 3 and out.
Well, what I'm worried about
didn't see that.
Are we going to get Jonathan Gray to come here?
Yeah. I wonder if he's down at his
Does he have 2 years
Wait,
left?
No, he's got 1 year left.
Are you sure?
Yes, this is his 3rd year.
You know what my
We've-
favorite stat was in the game? Jonathan Gray, and I believe I can quote Keith on this one. He brought this up that night. Jonathan Gray went 11 carries for 0 yards.
Wow.
B.J. Catalon on the bench had a better day.
Oh,
And had Jonathan Gray been in purple, he probably would have ran all over him.
Well, I'll tell you, they're not going to go anywhere until they get a quarterback.
I tell you what.
That's true.
And,
Swoops is not the
and,
answer.
and
I agree.
thank God for Aaron Green. I mean, we miss Catalon. I mean, Catalon does some things Green can't, but you can't get a better replacement than
Boy,
Aaron
I tell you
Green.
what, that's exactly right.
That's been beautiful.
He's a player.
All right, then. Well, we're getting ready to go away and get ready for our 3rd segment. We're going to go away one more break here. Got a little special deal coming back on the other side, I believe. If Mr. Terrence Maiden's in the house. I thought I saw him walk in here, and we'll be back in 1 minute.
Hey, Killer Frogs, I'm here at Brewster's today. And as you know, you get 30% off on your food with the coupon you get off of Killer Frogs. What you didn't know is that every Wednesday, they've got Wild Wing Wednesday. 60 cents per wing, a 6-wing minimum. You got 4 different flavors to choose from: buffalo, barbecue bourbon, Thai chili, and the famous Caribbean jerk. Speaking of Caribbean jerks, I'm going to have one myself right now. Go Frogs.
Okay. Welcome back to Brewster's for our 3rd segment. And what year was this number 3, Sean?
1972.
That's back in my time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was in junior high. Terrence,
wasn't born. I
you
wasn't
what?
born.
Terrence made one more. We're fixing to introduce Terrence here. Sean, first of all, though, Wes, I need, before we talk to Terrence here, we need to talk about Brewster.
Hey, Brewster.
I mean, this is the happening place off West 7th. You're in Fort Worth. You guys online, if you haven't been down here, I mean, this is the premium brew house in Fort Worth. It's a beautiful place in here. We have fun. I forget how many TVs in, but I guarantee you, you can't go without looking at a flat screen TV around here. It's all over. Greatest people down here. They got the greatest waitresses, greatest bartenders. And those burgers.
The burgers are the best.
The burgers are back, and the wings. I mean, it's Wednesday night. Parents, you got to try these wings on here.
Have to.
They're 60 cents wings on Wednesday night. I tell you, I ate a bunch.
They got a new deal, too. You know, you can always get 30% off your food.
With Killer Frogs.
But they've got a new offer now called the Brew Crew, and you get 25% off of everything. It costs you $10.
Everything?
Everything.
Wow.
Everything?
Everything.
That is awesome. The Blue Crew, you got to be part of that. Can you sign up online with that on Brewster's?
You can
go to-
you ask your waitress for details, or you can text Brew Crew to 313131, and they'll send you the information and details on it.
And where's that one more time?
Brew Crew, text Brew Crew to 313131.
All right. Well, that sounds great. We love Brewster's. Brewster's is the Killer Frogs restaurant and brew house of choice here, and we have a great partnership with them. And It's been a great deal for us all season long here. We will be here for you online for 2 more weeks after this, and then we're going to take a break for Christmas and New Year's, and we'll see how it goes from there. We'll see where the Frogs are heading, and we'll see where we're heading. But I've got another special guest with us, one of the maiden twins. This was the more stout maiden, isn't that right? I mean, how are you twins? I've got Terrence Maiden here. Terrence, you were the linebacker, right?
That's right, yeah. I played linebacker, and my twin brother played wide receiver.
Now, how did that happen? I mean, were you not identical twins?
Yeah, you know what? I've always been a little bit larger. Tim always been a little bit more passive, so he's an offensive guy. I'm a little bit more aggressive.
Well, how did that go in the wrestling matches at home?
You know what? He had his share of wins. I did too.
Oh,
Okay.
Man, what a brother.
Just like twins.
That's how a twin. I got my little brother here, and I guarantee we don't talk about twins like that. We'll talk about I beat his butt, and he beat my butt, but a little bit different. Terrence is friend, and you actually played with Sean. Is that right?
That's
Sean
right,
Stilley?
yeah. Sean's a great quarterback for us. Yeah, we had some good memories.
And what year did y'all finish up, you and your brother?
We finished in 2000. We was a part of the class with Aaron Schobel.
Oh, that
and
was a
Daniel
great
Summers.
class.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
wow.
a great run.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the best teams in the nation that year. That was the LT class. We always like to refer to that one, you
Sure,
know.
sure.
He was your source, but Kingpin that year. But, you know, outside the San Jose State game, you guys were on track maybe to break into the BCS, and we had that one blunder.
Yeah, that was
year.
a heartbreaker.
That was a big heartbreaker. And then, of course, we lost Fran, and everything was in disarray, and we blew the Mobile Bowl.
Oh, that's right.
That was a blown
Good
game.
memory, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, well, I'm old, but I still can remember. Well, the reason we got Terrence on tonight, Terrence has been a friend, and we at Killer Frogs have usually supported charity of goodwill at Christmas time involving kids and what we can give back to the community here in the Metroplex. And one that we supported for and we're supporting again is a Soulful Christmas. And I know this is something that you and your brother do. Y'all are involved. Tell us a little bit about what you and Tim do, Terrence, over there, and tell us a little bit about a Soulful Christmas.
Yeah, Tim and I, we established our foundation in 2005, Two Wins Foundation. And since that time, we've really been giving back to the community, doing a lot of different projects and programs, more education-driven. The holiday season is more charitable giving with our Soulful Christmas. We're doing an event tomorrow night as well to feed the homeless. But we really appreciate the Killer Frogs for supporting the Soulful Christmas for so many years. This is our 4th year actually hosting the event. We've given away at least 1,200 toys to inner city kids.
Wow.
So it's a really meaningful event.
And these are not kids that are used to getting nice things. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we work with inner city kids in southern Dallas. We also work with kids over in Fort Worth as well. And for us, it's very meaningful. We have a lot of young professionals that come out, and we all hang out. The event, the Soulful Christmas event, is actually next Friday, December the 12th. But it's always a good time, but it's always leave you feeling good at the end of the day.
Well, this is an event, and we have this for you on live stream and for you out here. We have this on our site. We actually have a place where you can click on it. I believe Sean's got it up here for everybody to see. And you can donate by either, you can actually buy tickets and come to the event, and you're donating there, or if you just want to donate and let that money serve as a donation to the fund, it's the same either way. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we're working with 3 YMCA locations, but also we're working with City Square this year. So we have more organizations that we're working with, so a greater need. So any sort of contribution would be greatly appreciated.
Greatly appreciated. And like I said, the difference that Terrence and Tim make and their board and the work that they do over there, it means a lot whether a kid's going to be able to have a gift for Christmas or flat out not get anything.
That's absolutely right. So we definitely appreciate Killer Frogs for all the support.
Well, we appreciate you, Terrence. God bless you and your brother's efforts. We're proud that we've got frogs involved and stuff like that. I know that we've got, you know, you guys turned out a good class of people that did that there. We got people like LaDainian Tomlinson that work with that, Landry Burndine. You know, we got people involved in the community out there. They just didn't take their scholarship and let it waste out there. And you went out there and became part of the community and gave back to the communities you came from.
Absolutely. I think that's what makes the Horned Frog Nation so special.
Absolutely. Well, Terrence, you had been excited the other night.
Hey, that was a great win. It's a good time to be a Horned Frog.
Absolutely. It's a great time. Well, Terrence, we're going to let you out of here. We appreciate you coming over here. Everybody, please give to a Soulful Christmas.
So yeah,
we appreciate Terrence coming up here. Go on. You either go to KillerFrogs.com. You'll look on there. It's a place to donate. If you can't make the event, please donate and let them use the money wisely. They do a great job. It's a very reputable organization, and they do a great job for these kids and needy family. Thank you, Terrence.
Yeah, certainly appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Wes and I appreciate you.
Thanks, Terrence.
Well, I guess we're going to get Mr. Stilley back up here. We'll let him fulfill his obligation for the night. But, you know, we're back here again, guys, and we got some big games. I mean, there's some big games this weekend. There's a lot of things. We got Sean back in here in the saddle now, and we just got Mr. Rick Landers on camera. He loves to show his physique off there. But anyway, you Canadians are all the same. Y'all are so vain. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Rick's a
Wasn't
great
that a song? What your song?
You're so. That's that, Carly Simon.
Yeah.
Wasn't that about James Taylor?
That was number 3, wasn't it?
Number 3.
That was number 3. There we go. That was number 3. But anyway, big games this weekend, and it could change the whole effect. Let's start out with the Alabama game. Let's go from the bottom. We got Alabama playing Missouri. Now, is that being played in Atlanta? Is that where that is?
That's where it's played.
That's where it's being played in Atlanta. Guys, we got teased by Auburn the other night. I think we were all excited Saturday night with the teasing of Auburn, and we were all relieved that Mississippi State had been beat and out. We knew that was going to open an opportunity. We thought at number 4. Things got better than that. But now we've got Alabama playing Missouri. Does Missouri have any chance, Wes?
They always have a chance, but it's not very likely.
Yeah, I don't see Missouri winning at all. I mean, they're scheduled to go through the SEC East, and they had to play, A&M and Arkansas, which were the 2 bottom teams on the West. I mean, they really didn't have to play anybody to get to where they are.
I mean, what are you going to have to do to beat Alabama? You're going to have to get turnovers, and they just don't do it very much. They did it the most the other night and still won.
Yeah.
Right.
They just don't. They don't make a whole lot of mistakes in tackling. Did you ever see them make a missed tackle on a one-on-one?
No.
It's so frustrating to watch. They're so good.
They really are.
And,
it's a mismatch nightmare for
It is.
Missouri.
It is.
It really is.
And you can't help but think down the line, we match up. How do we match up against Alabama if we play Alabama? I preferably would not want to play them until the national championship. But, who knows? You might not want to tangle with Oregon, who's the other game. But before we get there, I got to think, Alabama, I look at how we size up. They're more of a traditional power offense, a very strong defense. They've got Amari Cooper there, who's a Heisman candidate, probably in the top 5, along with their own Heisman candidate, which is something we don't talk about much around here, but what looks like it's going to happen. But, we shut down Kevin White, who's considered the number 2 receiver at West Virginia. Sean, do you think our DBs, I don't know if they can shut Cooper down like that if we were to play him, but do you think we could do a pretty good job from our secondary standpoint?
I'll tell you one thing. I think they'd give it a chance because these guys have grown up, especially the younger guys, have really grown up and learned from experience of getting beat deep and what it takes to really play the position. There's so much into technique and in deliverance up front that I think they would. I still think they would play the same way and be aggressive, especially with the success they had against White.
Well, I think so too. Sean, you
No, I agree. I think if we're going to put the proverbial cart before the horse here and talk about what ifs in the playoffs,
right.
I would much rather take Oregon first in the Rose because we've got 3 weeks to prepare for Oregon, and if we get past Oregon, then it's 10 days for Alabama. And I feel much better 10 days for Alabama than 10 days for Oregon.
I would say of the top 4, that's games that are going to be played by the top 4. That's probably the second least likely to happen. And I'll skip on up here in a minute that we're the least likely to get beat. But Alabama's the least likely, second least to get, which takes us to the Oregon-Arizona game. I mean,
which isn't a gimme yet.
It's not a gimme.
No.
Obviously, because Arizona has beaten Oregon already.
That's right.
They know how to defense. They've shown. However, the stats say it's very hard to beat the same team twice in 1 year.
And Oregon's going to come with blood in their eyes, ready to beat Arizona. And get
Well,
that win
and
back.
they're a much improved team. And I would think as much as Arizona has improved, I think Oregon has improved by leaps and bounds since then.
They do seem a lot better.
And,
the last few
and
games
they do.
played.
And the quarterback, Mariucci, is that how you say it? Mariota. I don't know. Some one of those Mari something.
Why's he
names.
laughing at you so hard?
Well, because you know what?
You shouldn't say marinara.
Marinara. Can I have one of those chicken marinara sandwiches? That there anyway. So anyway, as Wes shakes his head at his partner down here, but you know the guy's the Heisman Trophy winner, probably all out. He's had a phenomenal year. He's gotten all the press. He doesn't do a lot wrong, but he's only been challenged, you know, a couple times this year. I think Michigan State gave him trouble for a little while, and then they floated away in the middle of the third, and then Arizona beat them. So it's going to be quite a game to see that. And to me, I think that's the third least likely upset in the top four. What do you think, Wes?
Yeah, I'd go along with that. I think that's going to be tough. Arizona's going to have a long road to hoe on that one.
Right. Sean?
I agree. I mean, it comes down to now. If you're going to beat these top four teams, they've really got to lose the game. And I don't see either one of these four teams doing it.
No.
I just don't at this point. They're all playing very well, and they're not turning the ball over a whole bunch.
Which brings us to number 3, and number 3 being our game against Iowa State. Guys, you know, you got to sit here and think with these scenarios set up here and what happens. Do we need to win by one, as Gary'd like to say, or do we need to win by a bunch?
We need to win by at least 3 scores.
Yeah, and I think
and then
Paul
maybe
Rhodes,
touchdowns.
Paul Rhodes kind of set the table a little bit, saying he could understand if TCU scored 100 points.
Right.
And the way I read it, he's almost saying, do what you got to do, beat us, because I don't like Art Briles, and I want you to
Oh,
win.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Well,
I think he's setting things up. I don't think Rhodes is going to go quietly into the night in this game. I think he's going to have his team ready. They're going to play hard, and they've played a lot of teams close. I mean, they played Kansas State within a score, and they played Texas 48-45 in
That's
Texas.
Right.
So I mean, you know, take what you will about Iowa State and them being a bottom feeder, but this is, you know, if we don't watch Iowa State, they can surprise you. They can hang around. They can become another Kansas.
And so it is a big game. You know, since we're sitting here talking about Iowa State, you know, they are 2-9 on the year. They have not won a conference game. Guys, their quarterback, he's a running quarterback, which sometimes gives us trouble. You know, K-State, little different, didn't give us much trouble. But no big deal containing some of these other quarterbacks this year. And so we'll have to see how it goes. But Sam Richardson, he's not only their starting quarterback, and he's about 58%, Sean. I don't know. How good's that in quarterback terms?
I mean, these days, not very good because guys are 65, 70%. But,
right.
I mean, playing at home right now in the way the crowd – you guys notice the difference in the new guys they'd hired to come into the stadium? I mean, it's an electric atmosphere. Our student section's going crazy, and these guys are playing really, really well here.
Right.
I don't see a letdown. I just don't see it. I don't feel worried about it.
Well, have to be a repeat of the San Jose State game. And
God.
That's not going to happen.
No.
Sorry to bring that up.
Oh, it was terrible. Well, we got nachos and penny. We had to put our helmets on in that game. Pennies were banging off of it.
I've got a lot of stats here, but I don't think I'm going to bore everybody with them. We don't have any, and it's also they beat Iowa. You know, they beat Iowa. However, this is not the same Iowa State team as back there. They've had at least 10 injuries that have been season-ending out of their top 22.
Yep.
And they are nowhere near the same team. Whereas we've lost Catalan and we lost Deontay Gray for a little bit. We have been extremely fortunate in that deal. So let me just say, I could sit here and go over numbers, and it's not going to wow anybody. They've got, you know, offensive linemen that's not played. They got receivers that are having to step up. Their big tight end is one of their best players, E.J. Bibbs. He's likely not to play this weekend because of the injury. So, like what you said, I think they're expecting to get pounded. Now, they're going to come in here, and we're going to have to take care of them because they're going to try to play us hard. But I think if we jump on them, I think they'll quit.
I agree, and I'm thinking Trevon Boykin's first game as quarterback was against these guys a couple of years ago, and he didn't exactly excel. I think this is a chance to rectify that.
Well, you know, an interesting thing about that, Iowa State intercepted him 3 times in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the 2012 home opener for the Big 12, and that was of course, that was the week that Casey Baja had his mishap. But Iowa State.
Did he get hurt in an accident?
He stubbed his toe.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember. Okay.
we'll move on past that.
Okay.
But no, the interesting thing about Iowa State is that they haven't intercepted a quarterback 3 times since then until they played Oklahoma this year.
Wow.
And every single player that we talked to yesterday in the press conference, every single one of them brought up the fact that they remember what happened 2 years ago. And I think I don't think any player on this team is looking past Iowa State. I don't think we have to worry about them being motivated for this game, because I think each and every one of them want to erase that mistake that happened 2 years ago.
Yeah. And I think games like this you worry about earlier in the season. When you have 2 good games, 1 and 2, and then you play 3,
right?
And a letdown game against an SMU or something, I think you worry about it earlier. When these guys have played together so long now and been through so much, it's harder to see a late season meltdown. I don't know if you see a whole lot of those.
Well, you know, in the Kansas game, everyone wants to talk about Kansas, but what a lot of the pundits forget is that was at the tail end of an 8-week-long just murderer's row as far as the schedule goes.
Right.
And you go up to Kansas in really horrible conditions, and you allow Kansas to kind of stick around, and they are coming off probably their biggest win they've had in years.
The Big 12 has
nothing to lose either.
The Big 12 has not been nice to us scheduling-wise.
Not this year.
Well, this year we hadn't been too bad because we've had so many home games.
But we had a lot of buys earlier on in the season. I mean, that 8-week stretch was
let me tell you what, if it snows outside right now and they hand the 4 of us a ball and we have nothing to lose, we could probably make something of it.
Make something of it one time. But are you ready to give me mouth to mouth after
No.
that? Okay, all right. I just want to make sure.
Got it.
Okay, well, I don't think I'd like that too much either, Sean. So, but anyway. Guys, Wes, did anything stick out from you from a defensive standpoint with Iowa State?
You know, they give up a lot of yards. They're giving up 511 yards per game. They're giving up almost 38 points a game. So defensively, no. They're playing a lot of freshmen.
Right.
I think they have 5 freshmen that rotate in and out on a regular basis. So,
well, he's already
young.
He's already talking about next year. You know, his AD backed him up there. Rhodes' AD backed him up
for now.
Said he is secure for this year, and he's already planning. And his deal, like every other coach in America, is I got a winning plan for next year.
That's right.
And so he's about ready for that and stuff. So, guys, let's got one more game to discuss, and that's Florida State. Florida State's playing Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech, ACC championship
and to me, this is the #1 chance for an upset for about the 10th week in a row.
I agree with that.
I mean,
let me ask you this: if Florida State loses that game, what does the Final Four look like?
That's an interesting thought.
That's the discussion point. I believe if Baylor takes care of business against Kansas State and wins by 10 points at least, and there go the Garvins, by 10 points at least, I can see Baylor slipping into that #4 knot.
Yeah, that could happen.
I think, honestly, because we haven't talked about the Big Ten championship game yet, but, I mean, I honestly think this weekend what's going to end up happening is Florida State's going to lose. This is it. I mean, they've already reached their 9 lives, so to speak. They're done. They're going to be beaten by Georgia Tech. So I don't see them getting past that triple option. And then I honestly think Ohio State's not going to be able to compete with Wisconsin. Wisconsin's going to pound them into oblivion. And they're not going to be able to
and
get
those
it.
things should happen. And those
things should happen. But then what ends up happening, like you said, as long as Baylor's not looking past Kansas State, which right now with all the distractions going on down there, mainly from their ADs doing, if they can get past Kansas State, I agree. I think they slip into #4.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you what I think, and it's not going to be popular along you online or those here. I actually think Baylor's going to take care of the Wildcats, and the reason I say this is speed and those wide receiver speed. We exploited Kansas State with our speed, and that they could not catch us.
No.
They could not catch us. And their coach admitted that, and he knows better than anything. I do think Snyder will have them better prepared than he had them for us. I think it was a good game for him to get a feel for that, but I don't see them being able to keep up. Now, I'm not saying they're not capable of winning, but if I had to bet on it right now, I would say Baylor at least by 10 to 14 points.
They're going to have to keep pressure on Petty.
And I think that's going to be good enough. And so what we're talking about here, guys, what we're kind of alluding to, Sean, and you were getting to, if Baylor comes in at number 4, these things happen like this, and we're number 3,
we're opposite ends of the playoff bracket.
We're heading out to Pasadena.
And they're going
Baylor
to
could be going to Sugar Bowl. Yeah. If they beat Alabama.
And we take care of Oregon.
Then you said.
We want to play Baylor again.
You said what?
Yeah, right.
There would be one true champion.
There would be one true champion.
of the Big 12. Is that right?
That's how it works out.
Well,
right?
How crazy would that be for Baylor and TCU to play in Jerry's World for the national championship?
That would be crazy.
Could you imagine? I think ESPN had shut down. I think they would shut down.
I'd give anything to see those man boobs and that tight shirt again. Come to Jerry World and get beat while not looking at the finish.
I'd love to see that.
I think Lou Holtz would have a heart attack.
I think he would too.
I think it would be all over for Lou
If
Holtz.
they get in, will that shut them up for one?
I wish it would.
All they want to do
It's
is
better that they don't.
It doesn't matter. You know, for Baylor's sake, they just want in. Right now, they're thinking they're not getting in. You know, and let me put this on the other toe. I mean, on that foot. You know, it depends on how many toes you got. But anyway, what happens if we go in and we win by 1 point, and Baylor beats Kansas State 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns?
Well,
yeah,
that might knock us out.
Yeah, but once again, I don't see Ohio State or Florida State getting past this weekend.
I don't either.
Yeah, but the only thing
one's
that would
gonna
happen,
go.
one will definitely go. I think both will. I don't see the third-string quarterback at Ohio State making his first career start in a Big Ten championship game against Wisconsin,
which
is a very good team.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, here's the good thing, and my little brother brought this up here. My little brother Preston, he brought up the deal about the odds makers in Vegas. And if you look at the odds and you play the odds, which makes this world go round pretty much, we're almost a lock.
What is it? What is the line right now?
I mean, I'm just talking about our percentages to be in the playoff are like 90-something percent.
97%.
Yeah, I mean, it is an unbelievable odd that we have.
Yeah, I think the line's like 30 right now.
And so,
is it really?
Yeah, I think a lot of us have such good memories of the Rose Bowl and that we would like to go back to Pasadena for I happen to be one of those.
I didn't go, so I'd love for it to be
good karma. That would be a great thing. You know, the Sugar Bowl, if we played down there against Alabama, in my feeling that we might be playing for the national championship right then.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, and so we got a lot to look for. Hey, isn't this an exciting time to be a Horned Frog?
Unbelievable. It's incredible.
I mean, guys,
never saw it coming.
We took out this year and all our people out here. And what a year for us to start a Killer Frogs Hour show, guys.
That's right.
I mean, this has been super successful. We've had a ton of people online, ton of people filling up Brewster tonight. A lot of people out doing their holiday shopping. And
before you go, I do have a couple things.
Okay.
As you may have heard, College Game Day is going to be down in Waco.
Right.
Right? And so I was able to find one of the Baylor fans' signs.
Okay. What do you got here?
He's about to go Corso on us.
All right. No. So
Boo!
This is what all the Baylor fans have been putting on all their signs, right?
Right.
Now, this is you know, it's appropriate, but I think we can make it better. Hold that for me there, Sean. Got it? Bring that down a bit.
Oh, yeah. Wes, you can even add that, can't you?
I can add that one easily.
Even a Baylor grad can.
There we go. There we go. A little subtraction there.
Well done.
Well, that is great. That is awesome, Sean. Well, there's a couple things, great things that happened today. One is that it is Sean and Dana's 9th anniversary.
Thank you very
we want
much.
to congratulate y'all on that. And we appreciate
Happy anniversary.
We appreciate them coming down and spending time with us.
Wouldn't miss it.
On their anniversary.
Thanks for having us.
And that is the typical 9th anniversity gift, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
There's
right.
too much good karma going on. We weren't going to. In fact, I first said no when Scott called. She said, "No, you're going."
Well, the book says
Now I know why you married that
if
woman.
you accept to be on a talk show, then you get the couch on your 9th anniversary.
I get the what?
The couch.
I don't get it. There's no way.
Okay, all right.
Unless
maybe
I
not.
snore too loud. If
There
I
we
have
go.
too many more of these, I'm on
And
the
the
couch.
other thing is the original Killer Frog and the original owner and the guy that came up with the whole concept of Killer Frog turns almost 65, but he's a year short today. 64, our friend Wes
Oh, man.
Phelan.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Happy
my
birthday,
partner.
Wes.
Let's all sing happy birthday to him.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Wes. Happy birthday to you.
All right.
Thank
Thank you.
Well, we gave
Thank
him give him a great Killer Frogs go away for tonight. Guys, that about wraps it up for tonight. I think we've had a great show. Thank you, Sean Stilley.
Thank you,
Thank
Sean.
you, Terrence Maiden. Thanks, everybody on live stream. And thank everybody at Brewster's tonight. Big weekend this weekend. Be
Frogs.
back here next Wednesday. We'll be here next Wednesday again, and hopefully to talk about some great news.
Let's go, Frogs.
Go Frogs.